Hey everybody, welcome to this week's volunteer meeting. We are going to be getting a presentation from Leslie Flores with Texas Health and Human Services, and she's going to be talking to us about child care regulations. If you guys are watching us live, great, but if not, as always, Nicole and I are recording this, and it's going to be documented in Optima for those who weren't able to come in and check it out live. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Leslie with Texas Health and Human Services.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this presentation, and thank you, Mark, for allowing me to have this opportunity. This afternoon, we're going to be discussing who is keeping our children safe, and the focus is how to protect our children in childcare settings. And believe it or not, it starts with you, our community. I'm Leslie Flores, and I'm an inspector for the Unregulated Operations Unit. We are a division of childcare regulation, and we wear a few hats. One of the most fun hats I wear is that I get to provide this amazing information to our community and everyone else through community engagements such as this one. Our division is also responsible for identifying unregulated childcare providers and/or operations and assisting them with the application process. So our objectives for this presentation include the following. Define childcare regulation and understand their role. Identify types of childcare operations and how they are regulated. Learn about the benefits of choosing regulated childcare. Determine how to search for regulated childcare and gain an understanding of the importance of community collaborations. Childcare regulation is part of the Texas Health and Human Services Commission charged with regulating childcare operations to ensure the health, safety, and well-being of children in care. We also collaborate with the Department of Family and Protective Services, which is the agency that investigates abuse and neglect in childcare operations. Childcare regulation is responsible for the following. Permitting and monitoring. Childcare regulation provides permits and monitors the operation. To receive a permit, an application must be submitted and processed. If regular care is being provided, then a permit is required by the state of Texas. Regular care means that care is provided at least 4 hours a day, 3 or more days a week, for 3 or more consecutive weeks, even if it's only being provided to one child. Once an operation obtains a permit, they are then monitored for compliance with state licensing standards, rules, and laws. Inspections are also conducted to ensure the provider meets health and safety standards, as well as minimum standards. Investigating complaints. CCR investigates, sorry about that. CCR investigates complaints received from staff, parents, and the public alleging violations of minimum standards in childcare. The Unregulated Operations Unit investigates allegations of unregulated care being provided and/or solicited. Educating parents and the public. CCR educates parents, the public, community stakeholders, and community partners through community engagement and outreach on Texas laws and the benefits of choosing regulated childcare. Offering childcare providers technical assistance. CCR provides technical assistance or information to childcare providers to help them comply with, maintain, and/or more effectively meet minimum standards. Serving Texas children. In fiscal year 2022, there were 15,770 childcare operations in Texas, serving over 1.1 million children. And these are the following numbers on how they were broken down. Our goal is to partner with parents and child advocates to protect children in childcare settings. We also want to increase the community's knowledge and awareness of childcare regulations role and provide safety resources that will help keep our children safe. Our goal is to ensure that quality childcare is being provided, which exceeds minimum standards. Keep in mind how many hours a day our children spend in childcare. With that being said, these providers have a big influence over our children's upbringing. So isn't quality childcare what we want? Chapter 42 of the Human Resources Code provides a regulatory authority of childcare regulation. It also defines the types of childcare operations and requires childcare regulation to establish statewide minimum standards. The minimum standards must ensure the protection of all children under care of a childcare facility. The standard must also encourage and assist in improvement of childcare programs through education and technical assistance. So now let's talk about the different types of childcare operations. Licensed childcare centers. They provide care for 7 or more children, serve children younger than 14, provides care fewer than 24 hours a day, but at least 2 hours a day, 3 or more days a week, and is located somewhere other than the permit holder's home. These operations are regulated by minimum standards and inspected at least once annually. School age and before and after school programs. These operations may operate before and after school, or both before and after the customary school day and during school holidays. They operate for at least 2 hours a day, 3 days a week, and they also care for children who attend pre-K through grade 6. They provide supervision and recreation, skills instruction, and these operations are regulated by minimum standards and are also inspected at least once annually. Licensed child care homes. The operation provides regular care in the permit holder's own home for compensation. They serve children whose age range from birth through age 13. They provide care for fewer than 24 hours a day, but at least 2 hours a day, 3 or more days a week, and cares for no more than 12 children total, including children related to the caregiver. The primary caregiver is at least 21 and must meet director qualifications. They are regulated by minimum standards and inspected at least once annually. Registered child care homes provide regular care in the permit holder's home for compensation, serve ages between birth and 13, provide care for at least 4 hours a day, 3 or more days a week, and for more than 3 consecutive weeks. They provide care to no more than 6 children who are unrelated to the caregiver. They can also provide after-school care to no more than 6 additional elementary children and cares for no more than 12 children total, including related to the caregiver. The primary caregiver is at least 21 years old, but can be 18 if they meet certain educational criteria. They are also regulated by minimum standards and inspected at least once every 2 years. A listed family home provides regular care in the caregiver's own home for compensation. They serve children whose age range from birth through age 13, provide care for at least 4 hours a day, 3 or more days a week, for 3 or more consecutive weeks, cares for no more than 3 unrelated children, not including those that are related to the caregiver. The primary caregiver must be 18 years old, and listed homes are not inspected annually. Small employer-based childcare. This operation employs fewer than 100. This is a small employer-based operation that employs fewer than 100 full-time employees. This type of operation provides care for up to 12 children of employees, for children younger than 14, for fewer than 24 hours a day, but is located in the same building where the parents work. There are no minimum standards, and these are not regularly inspected. The last one is called shelter care. This operation provides for 7 or more children, cares for children younger than age 14, operates for at least 4 hours a day, 3 days a week, and is located at a temporary shelter, such as a family violence or homeless shelter. No minimum standards are required, and they are not regularly inspected. The Department of Family and Protective Services will investigate any allegations of abuse, neglect, or exploitation in any of these settings, and some of these investigations are done in collaboration with child care regulation. Can you hold on real quick? I am so sorry about that. Okay. Okay, what are minimum standards? Minimum standards are part of the Texas Administrative Code and are used to regulate childcare operations in Texas. In one chapter alone, there are approximately 1,200 minimum standards for each childcare operation to comply with. Each are broken into subchapters that include rules related to director-caregiver minimum qualifications and training requirements, child-caregiver ratio, supervision of children, responding to emergencies, safe sleep for infants, transportation activities, and water activities. These standards are housed online and can be downloaded into a PDF format, which can be accessible on computers and smart devices. So how are minimum standards developed? Texas legislature meets every 2 years. Changes are made based on current research and best practices for the health and safety of children. The process of creating a rule is approximately 16 months. The process requires formal notification to Health and Human Services Commission, feedback from stakeholders, and official public comment. Some changes are based on public comment when applicable. Publishing rules also apply. There's also a comprehensive review every 6 years. Standards are always changing. This is because of the 3 groups of rule opportunities. Rules that bypass the full rule process are emergency rules. Emergency rules can be created and approved by the governor. So let's play a little game of myths versus fact. After I read each statement, you can decide whether you believe the statement is a myth or a fact. You can answer in the chat or just unmute. If a baby is placed to sleep on his back, he may choke. True or false, or myth or fact?
I'm going to say fact.
So babies placed on their back. This is a myth. Healthy babies tend to swallow or cough up fluids when they are lying on their backs. They also have other ways, such as gag reflex, to prevent choking while lying on their backs. If a baby has a medical condition, such as reflux, the parent should speak with their pediatrician about the best sleep position for their infant. We have seen a high rate of infant mortality in unregulated settings where safe sleep was not practiced, which in turn led to the death of a baby. When you choose a regulated provider, you're ensuring that they have gone through safe sleep training, which means less chances of an accident or even death. My child attends a Taekwondo program after school. It is not required to be licensed. Myth or fact?
Fact.
So it's a possibility of both. Sometimes these programs fall under what we call an exemption. This means they do not require a permit, but they do have to submit the proper paperwork to the department so that we can evaluate their program and make that decision. To be an exempt program must offer direct instruction in a single skill, talent, ability, expertise, or proficiency. The program does not provide or offer services that are not directly related to a single skill, talent, ability, expertise, but may offer transportation and snacks. The program does not advertise or represent that the program is a child care facility, daycare center, or licensed before or after school program, or that the program offers child care services. These programs have to inform parents that the program is not licensed by the state. They have to inform parents of the physical risk a child may face while participating, and the program conducts background checks using information that is obtained from the Department of Public Safety for all program employees and volunteers who work with children. So it could be yes or it could be no, but at this point, we always ask that they submit an exemption application to evaluate whether or not they need one, because at the end of the day, if they're not exempt, they may very well need a permit. So next question, infants need to be warm to sleep, and this can be accomplished with a blanket or a heated room. Myth or fact?
Fact.
Okay, so this is a myth. Overheating is a risk factor for infants and increases the incidence of SIDS. Additionally, blankets not only cause overheating, but also contribute to suffocation, posing a double risk of SIDS. Infants only need light sleep garments, socks underneath if their feet get cold. Their room should be comfortable for a lightly clothed adult. Next question. Inspections conducted by child care regulation are announced. Myth or fact?
Myth.
Yes, an operations annual inspection is always unannounced. Investigations of minimum standard violations.
This was happening 400, 500 years before Christ.
Hello? Oh. Investigations of minimum standard violations and follow-up inspections are also unannounced. Next question. Restricted devices are not safe for sleep, and infants must be awake and supervised when in use. Myth or fact?
Fact.
Yes. Restricted devices such as bouncy seats, car seats, swings, and incline sleepers are not designed for safe sleep and place an infant at risk for positional asphyxia due to the top-heavy nature of their head. The CPSC recently recalled all rocker and play sleepers due to the number of sleep fatalities. Next questions. Infants do not die in cribs. Myth or fact?
Myth.
Yes. Cribs must meet specific designs to avoid entrapment, tight-fitting mattresses, sheets to avoid entrapment, and strangulation. So this picture right here indicates what your baby's crib or a baby's crib should look like. The one that I just brought up, this crib, the crib should be bare with no blankets, no stuffed animals or toys when sleeping. So notice how there's a boppy, there's a blanket. That's just really, I know the baby looks comfortable and we think, well, if they fall asleep, they'll sleep all night. Well, we really don't want that because at that age, babies don't know how to regulate their sleep. So if they fall into such a deep sleep, they're not able to wake themselves up. So that's also a reason why we encourage them to, you know, be on in an empty crib, nothing around them, and in a very moderately full room. So next question, a person can babysit their neighbor's child after school without requiring a permit. Myth or fact?
I think that's fact, but I feel like it's something you want to avoid.
So yes, it can go either way. So we're going to find out, well, are they meeting the definition of regular care? Now remember, regular care is 4 hours a day, 3 or more days a week, and for more than 3 consecutive weeks. We're going to see how old the children are, how many children are in care. So either way, we always like to encourage people, well, first of all, if you need a babysitter, always make sure they're regulated, even if it's just for after school care. So next question, for a family to receive child care subsidy, which is financial assistance, their child must attend a licensed or registered child care operation. Myth or fact?
Fact.
Yes. This is why we also encourage registered and licensed homes to obtain Texas Rising Star accreditation so that they can now accept the subsidy along with all of the other benefits that the Texas Rising Star program has to offer. This accreditation is now also required to be able to receive the subsidy, which in turn produces quality childcare. So benefits of choosing regulated childcare. By choosing a regulated childcare provider, you know that they have their background checks, state and federal, their training requirements, health and safety standards, and technical assistance to help them meet these standards, oversight through inspections and investigations, and their inspection records are online and available at all times. So why choose regulated childcare? You might hear of a neighbor babysitting down the street, and the fees are a lot lower than the child care center down the road. It seems convenient, it's cheaper, so just why not? Well, unfortunately, child fatalities in childcare settings are often in unregulated childcare operations and involve unsafe sleep environments. Caregivers commonly indicate that they were not aware of safe sleep standards or proper training. Through regulation and education, many of these incidents could have been prevented. How to find regulated childcare. So here is the website you can use, texaschildcaresearch.org. You can search for any licensed, registered, or listed operation. You can find facts and questions about Texas childcare and also locate a childcare licensing office in your area. So this right here is searching for regulated childcare. You can do a daycare search, which means you can search for a licensed childcare center or in a home. You can search for listed family homes. Then you can also search for a list of involuntary suspended or revoked childcare operations. This list will include childcare operations that have had a permit revoked or involuntary suspended in the last 5 years. And that's something you would really want to look at. So this, this is an illustrative page of what your child care website search engine would look like. This is the main page you will view when searching for childcare operations. If you want, you could also highlight the accepts childcare subsidy service and say you're looking for an operation who accepts subsidized childcare. You can select this box to only show those specific operations in your search area. So right.
Okay.
Then say we're going to go ahead and look at Gingerbread House. You would click on the hyperlink name to learn more about or to learn more information about the operation. When you click on the hyperlink, you're going to now see the operation details. It's going to tell you what operation type it is, the address, mailing address, phone number, county, what type of permit they have, when it was issued, hours of operation, ages that they serve, their capacity right here, any corrective action, adverse action, or temporary closures. You really want to make sure those say no. Okay, so this now shows you how many inspections annually that they have. More than one per year is not uncommon, especially if the operation is new. There are numerous inspections during the first year of the operation to ensure they are following standards. Self-reports mean that the operation took the initiative and reported accidents or injuries directly to child care regulation. Reports are reports from parents, neighbors, work agencies, and any other concerned person. Weight of the standards right here, if it says high, that's very concerning. That means it was a really high safety violation. So you could see right here of the deficiencies. And then you can always click on the narratives and you could view more details to see what they were exactly cited for. And it would look like this. So right here, it says a child was left unattended in the classroom, a little brief summary. So why would this be a safety concern for the health and safety of an infant if you're looking for child care for your infant? So at some point, sorry, go ahead.
No, so I was just reading the bottom. I saw the top part, the deficiency narrative, and I thought that was obvious. So never mind, continue.
So, you know, we always want to read these narratives because, you know, if there's a lot of incidents happening to just infants, you know, you would really want to reconsider that. It says also restricted devices, equipment that places the body of a child in a position that may restrict airflow or cause strangulation. Usually the child is placed in a semi-seated position. All of this information provided on this public page will allow parents to make the best decision on what operation they choose. So how can you help? Educating parents about the benefits of choosing regulated care, referring prospective providers to our website to learn more about our child care regulation and obtaining the necessary permit to operate at texaschildcaresearch.org, and also reporting unregulated care at 1-800-252-5440 or at this website. As a parent, choosing a child care provider for your child is one of the most critical decisions you can make. Placing your child in regulated child care can give you peace of mind that your child's health and safety are of utmost importance. We would love if you would also share our message with other parents and in your community. If you know of someone interested in providing child care, we would love an opportunity to share the benefits of becoming a regulated child care provider. As such, they would have an incredible impact in the early learning and education of young children, and there are great resources available to them. If you're aware of someone providing childcare and you're unsure they have a permit, check out our website. See if they're not located. If they're not on there, chances are they don't have a permit. So at that point, we're going to ask that you contact us and we'll absolutely look into it. You can always report these things anonymous as well. We just want to guide the individual on the steps to become regulated. This is some of our education materials. If you ever need any, I can go drop them off at the office. You can hand them out to parents. We'd really appreciate it. Unless anyone has any questions, that's it. And thank you so much.
I have a question. So the part where you mentioned reporting folks that are watching children without the proper permitting, that's
Yes.
only for people that are watching multiple children, right? Like it's not like, what if my aunt watches my kid over the summer? That's something that's okay?
Well, okay. So even if they're just watching one child, if they're watching that one child for more than 4 hours a day, more than 3 days a week, for 3 or more consecutive weeks, and you're paying, then yes, they need a permit. Now, if it is, so the family thing gets a little tricky because if it's your aunt, I would have to look at our chart because we have like a specific chart that it tells you exactly like who policy considers related or not.
So you're telling me I need to fire my aunt? I'm just joking.
I mean,
what's that process like? What? So like, I mean, they're obviously like need to get reported. Like, I don't know, like if anybody would report like Nicole or anybody in that situation.
Yeah.
Like, what happens like if they get the report? Like, is there like an investigation? Is there like a fine? Like, what happens after that?
We absolutely look into it, and then we send them a letter. If they have a history that they've done this before, then we automatically just go out there to like make face-to-face contact with them. So a lot of the time, 8 times out of 10, it's like, oh, I had no idea I needed a permit. A lot of people don't, but I didn't even know until I started this position in 2021. I mean, it's not out there in the community like it should be. So at that point, we say, okay, let's look at the situation. Do you meet the definition of regular care? Okay, you're related. Well, let's look at that. How are you related? You know, we look at the chart. There's a little flow chart. And then at that point, we would be like, okay, yes, you need a permit. No, you don't need a permit. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's really for safety reasons. That's our main thing. We just really want to make sure they're trained. They have, met all their training qualifications. I think fiscal year 2022, we had 15 baby deaths across the state of Texas in unregulated settings. And it was 12 the year before. So I mean, as much as we think we're making an impact, it's not enough.
I have another question.
Okay.
It kind of left my brain though. Oh, okay. Whenever you guys go in to do to check out a location and they're not meeting appropriate standards, are there any fines or penalties associated with that?
So me specifically, I do like unregulated. Like I would go in and just decide, do you need a permit or not? If they need a permit, they do the application process, then they get their own inspector. So anytime anything happens that needs to be reported, that's who's going to go do those follow-up visits. So yeah, I mean, everything gets monitored. Any accidents, a lot of stuff we ask that they self-report. And if they don't, well, parents report or the community reports. So
I want,
Go ahead.
is there like, so what's the history of like regulated childcare look like? I know this kind of sounds like a dumb question, but like, I feel whenever I first spoke to you, I felt like whenever you said regulated childcare and then like what you do, it kind of just clicked. I was like, well, that's smart, but like something I never heard about like too much. Like it's not really like something that's like to me that like that exists or that is necessary. But it sounds very like obvious. So like I don't know, is this something new like that and recently as far as like laws go or?
no, it's been around forever. I mean, you've always needed a permit in the state of Texas to provide childcare. But again, a lot of people don't realize it. But no, it's been like that for a long time. The unregulated operations unit, now we're new. I think we came into play in 2019 by legislature because of so many unregulated operations that just the monitoring inspectors were handling on their own. So they went ahead and developed a specialized unit. So that's all we do. We only identify unregulated operations. We do exemptions and then the community engagement.
Are there any safeguards in place for retaliation towards daycare facilities? Maybe folks that are putting in false incident reports?
I really don't know. I know in like the area I have, once the provider gets to know their inspector's like, they get it. Like it happens. We have really good providers that left a really toxic daycare and started their own thing, and their old directors are just not happy about it. And we get those calls constant, and they're going to look into it, but most of the time, if it's happening all the time, I mean, again, they have only one inspector. So that inspector gets bombarded with it and they're going to be like, okay, this is now as far as retaliate, I don't know. I really don't know.
What about kind of the same question, but what about for like separated parents or, scorned family members, things like that? Do you often get issues like that?
Yes and no. But at the end of the day, like we're gonna look over everything before we just jump to conclusions. The first thing we're gonna evaluate is this a big safety risk, first and foremost. But a lot, like I said, 8 times out of 10, I didn't know.
We have a question in the chat. What about any family members watching children after school until parents pick up after their work, or keep kids or family over the summer, such as grandparents?
So grandparents can keep their children and their great-grandchildren. Now after school, remember, if it's more than 4 hours a day, 3 days a week, for 3 or more consecutive weeks, then they would need a permit. So if after school care is just 2 hours every day, we can't regulate that. So you're thinking like 3:30 to 5:30. I mean, that's 2 hours a day. We regulate. I'm so sorry, my annoying dogs.
Oh, it's okay.
So that's, again, we're gonna make sure that we need to see if they meet the definition of regular care. And Mother's Day out, like the 2 days a week, we don't regulate those either.
That is good to know, because there's
It's
a lot
good,
of
but
that.
it's also very scary.
Well, that's what I mean. It's good to know, that way we can be informed before we take our children there.
Yes, and
Because the way that it's so structured, you have this false assumption that they're being regulated.
and a lot of churches, I've seen a lot of the church groups do them. And we've, I mean, I've been at functions in the community and I've walked into them. And I'm like, well, this looks like a daycare. And they're like, oh, well, we're just a Mother's Day out, but we only operate 3 days a week. And I'm like, well, Mother's Day out is 2 days a week. So do you want a permit or do you want to cut back to 2 days a week? Like, what, those are their options.
Wow.
Mhm.
Does anyone have any more questions? All right, Mark, if you want to go ahead and close her out.
Well, I appreciate you, Leslie, for coming on and talking with us. I know whenever I first spoke to you, I thought this was a really important topic that I felt that a lot of our advocates could, really benefit from, because there's a lot of, there, things like this. There's can be a lot of issues. Or this might be a reason stemming why like children are either taken away or something that they're dealing with, and why they can't get their children back. So it's always just really important just to see another resource there. But if you have any info or any kind of a website or something that you want to plug and let the advocates know before you leave.
I can just email you my flyers.
Okay.
And attach them as an email, and then you can just, send them out like that.
All right. Awesome. I appreciate you coming in once again, and thank you everybody for joining our weekly meeting. I felt this was very informative.
This is Sandra. I'm a CASA advocate, and I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. It was very good information that I got as a CASA advocate, that I will take those tools and apply them, or if it ever runs across. So I want to thank you to our speaker for today. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Yes, ma'am.
Alrighty, and just a friendly reminder, if you're on the call right now, I'll be submitting this in Optima for you. And if you're watching the recording of this, make sure that you put it in Optima to get credit. So thank you, Leslie, and thank you, everybody. We'll see you later.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.